Yeah, you know what time it is. Crack open that bottle of wine. Grab your favorite glass, pour a couple of fingers of scotch in it. Get that stick, light it, and blow. It's time to hang with Steel Sharpened Steel after dark.
Mom and Dad are fighting.
Stop yelling. You're making me sad.
I'm gonna go hide in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Steel Sharpened Steel. Listen, so there's the story of the day.
Wait.
Is the most impressive divorce of the millennium.
Right.
This is,
as Anthony says, nothing like hearing how two men are blowing orange-tinged, musky air everywhere. That's nasty.
So I had popcorn shrimp because I ain't had no popcorn. Joy got some popcorn. We got crunchy snacks. I got tangy ketchup Doritos. And I also have peanuts because this is a show, y'all. This gonna be a show. Mm-hmm. So I kind of want to spin a little bit because before we get into the really deep stuff, I want to give an opportunity for more people to come on because this is fire. I want to pre-sell in advance. There was an outstanding thread on Facebook today that kind of did a moment by moment. We have isolated the individual pieces. Joy and I will be kind of going back and forth.
Reading receipts.
Giving the receipts, giving the updates, giving all of that. And so we've got a lot of really great stuff for today. And I think because this show is basically kind of gonna be about the divorce, we do have a couple of other little snippets that are related. We got a little tariff doohickey. We've got a little taco stuff going on. And we do have a bright spot of some grade school students who literally started reenacting Sinners as a grade school production, which is both adorable and almost terrifying because I don't even know what to think. We don't have any baby videos this week, thankfully, because the divorce is the story. And I tell you, if y'all have not been keeping up on how petty this has gotten, it has gotten super duper.
It has gotten to the girl shit on his lawn type of petty. You know what I'm saying? There was this old meme, and I have it in my phone. I might just pull it up and show it to you, but it's like, it's a cat leaning out the window, and it's like when you get too caught up in your neighbor's nonsense down on the first floor, and you be like, "Girl, shit on his lawn, shit on it." That's where we at. That's where we
Listen,
at.
Joy and I were talking before the show, and there's been a little rhythm going through the Democratic Party that the long and the short of it is that I can't believe I agree with Elon Musk. Joy, why don't you tell the audience what your take on these delicious bon mots that he is dropping, but what were you saying in our pre-show conversation about Musk and trust?
So, first of all, bro, we're not about to fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Don't try to act like you didn't put him in office. And like most unqualified white men, when they discover they've messed up, it's everybody else's fault. And I always knew this was going to be a problem. And yeah, you know, he's crazy. We knew he was crazy. We told you he was crazy. We told you were crazy too. And now you can't just backtrack like you didn't do this. You specifically did this, right? You funded the fuckery. So don't try to act like, oh yeah, he needs to be impeached. Yeah, we know, because he never should have been in office. You know, so this is like watching Offset fight with himself. Yes, Chan.
Well, and
wait. The other thing I want to talk about is I said we're not going to fall for banana in the tailpipe, but we also need to remember that what a broken clock is, right? Twice a day. Just because he's saying things we like, there is no redemption arc for him. There is no way for him to come back. Like even Omarosa, I was like, girl, child, go sit down somewhere, but still, I don't wish her ill. I'm like, I hope she come back with something else. If she did, I think she did a reality show, whatever. I don't bear her any grudges. I got grudges with this man. Please understand that what did it say? I hope everything bad in life happens to you and only you because I hate your guts. Yes, that level, to quote the Haters Ball. If anybody listens to this and thinks I made all that up, you should watch Chappelle's show. But
I hope that everything bad in life happens.
Right. Now I go push some more water in Buck Nasty's mother's dish. That is the best line ever. But I'm off topic once again. We knew he was crazy. We told everybody he was crazy. You bought out a social media platform so you could spread misinformation. Your own social media platform, and every AI there is says you are the king of misinformation. And now you want to be like, he's crazy. Yeah, no shit. Yes, we know. And for you to come out now and say that just because you're not getting your way is the ultimate petty petulance. So go sit down somewhere, be by yourself, continue to collect whatever genetic material you be collecting in the cup, because I know you're not doing it the old-fashioned way. And be quiet. You're done. Just be done. Quit trying to act like you're going to lead the march to correct things, because nobody that has the best interests of the country at heart should trust you with anything beyond zipping your own pants. Right? That's it.
I will just say, I don't trust Elon as far as I could throw his hair plugs, but I am here for this fight. I am completely here for this fight. And, that's why I said, Donny, are you okay? Donny, are you okay? Are you okay, Donny? You've been hit by cough. You've been struck by cough. I mean, and so he is smooth. Mm-hmm. And the thing that shocked me is that it took, 48 hours? Mm-hmm. It took him 48 hours to reply after Musk dropped the original thing where he called it an abomination and disgusting and abominable, all that sort of stuff. Because Trump knew that Musk had receipts. And so Musk literally did a tweet today, or a zeet, whatever they call him, where he says, "You're president because of me."
Yeah.
Without
and basically
me,
admitted, I bought this for you, right?
You would have lost the House. The Senate would have been 51-49 for the Dems, and you would not have been elected. I did that. And we're going to get into it. We really are. But the first video we are going to play today, because it is enormously apropos, is one that literally is forefront of everybody's mind. And there we have it. And they are both of them.
Embodies every Black woman right now. Like, I told you wanted it. Yes, we're here for it.
I mean, it's where we are. Mm-hmm. It's literally where we are. And, shout out to Tayana Parrish. I didn't see your name come up in the Avengers Doomsday cast list. I'm hoping you're a surprise, or Secret Wars at least. Because you're in that X-Men pocket of the universe. And so they have all those other X-Men in there. So I'm hoping that you can pop out as well. But I will just say that my father posed a question about these rich people and the taxes, and do they really need that additional $40,000 a year or whatever. And it prompted me to think about the question in a different way, because the hardline, quote unquote, hardline fiscal conservatives of the Senate, and that's kind of an oxymoron because there aren't any, but they at least talk as though they are. How is it moral for the richest among us in the country to add to the deficit in tax cuts that they materially do not need, while you are taking money away from the people who not only need but deserve the most support, while you are also completely deporting the people who are in charge of doing the low work and labor that nobody who is a native born American can fix their lips to do. We saw centers, Black people used to be sharecropping before dawn, going to pick cotton at night because it was cooler and had to do their quota. And there's my mom hopping, and thank you, Mom. So the point is that how do you go to a billionaire? How do you go to a decamillionaire? How do you go to anybody who is going to benefit from these tax cuts and say, you claim to love this country. You know it costs money to run this country. How dare you take $40,000 when that is nothing to you?
I mean,
it's literally interest off of one of your bank accounts in a day.
There's a reason.
Justify?
They don't have to justify it. There's a reason that we have the phrase taking candy from a baby, because people do that.
Right.
And this is what we have happening in real time, is them recognizing that they have everything they need, but that there's something else that they can take. And so they take it. And that's, I was talking to somebody else and we came up with this idea. It may not be new, but power isn't about, power is about being able to do something. Abusive power, of course, is I'm doing it just because I can. And that's the kind of power that they wield. I'm doing this because I can. I don't need it. I don't have to do it. I'm not even sure I'm having fun doing it, but I can. And so I am, because what do you even need all that money for? They could literally bury themselves in boxes made of $1,000 bills and would still have millions, if not billions, to lend over. They could end world hunger by Friday. It's Thursday night, by the way.
So let's take a look at the morality question, because shout out to my mom and dad who were driving in a car calling me with this question. And I did find this clip, which I think really pulls it into sharp focus. Let's take a listen.
Somehow we've decided in America that innovation and money replaces or obviates or excuses depravity. Cutting off aid to HIV positive mothers, deciding what veterans should get benefits, cutting off SNAP payments, which have shown to have a positive net return when people run out of money for food at the end of the month. I mean, I think one of the wonderful things about being an American, and quite frankly, for me, what it means to be a man and what I try to teach my boys is the whole point of prosperity is such that you can protect people. And I think the two of you are more impressed with Mr. Musk than I am. I think if somebody is making Nazi salutes, if somebody is being sued concurrently by two women for sole custody of their child because that person has not spent any time with that child, when someone is so severely addicted to drugs they can't get their shit together to show up to the White House without looking exceptionally high, I don't think that's the right role model for young men. So what I would ask to all of us is look at what money has done to us. That if someone can land a rocket on metal scissors or create a great AV, he's a genius. He's the wealthiest man in the world. But does that mean we should excuse depravity? Does that mean, unlike Bill Gates, he's not using his billions to help people? He's not planting trees, the shade of which he won't sit under? I think this is an individual who has literally come off the tracks, who is rabidly addicted to drugs, and is using his immense power to get people elected, and that too many of us excuse what is abhorrent behavior. I think his legacy is not going to be an EV or putting rockets into space. I think it's going to be unnecessary death, disease, and disability of the world's most vulnerable. That is not what it means to be an innovator. It's not what it means to be an American. It's not what it means to be a man.
It's not what it means to be a man. That's the line that got me. It's not what it means to be a man. You ain't even a bitch. You just scum. You are pond scum. Amoebas are looking at you like, ugh. Like, bruh. I love that tirade. And here's the thing. Piers Morgan is known for interrupting people. His
He didn't have a
silence.
damn thing to say.
What do you say? Especially when you low-key agree with it. Everybody on there knew. Everybody on that stage knew that he was 100% right. How do you excuse this depravity in the pursuit of what? Money that you don't need? Yeah, Bill Gates has been vilified over and over again because he didn't fit the mold. And so they had to make people hate him so they would not pay attention to him or follow his lead. The same way they try to villainize or even in some cases kind of try to slut shame Bezos' ex-wife. You know, like she isn't out here giving money to good causes. You know, they even go after little Greta Thunberg. What is she, like 15, 16 years old now?
Yeah, she probably 16, 17 at this point, but still.
Yeah.
And all she is telling the truth.
Yeah. And there's death threats after a minor for being more of a grown-up than they are.
It's absolute insanity. So we're about 17 minutes in. And so there are a couple of more things before we get into the divorce, because another big thing that happened earlier this week was a new acronym that was attributed to Trump, because people who were in the business world, people who were in global relations, specifically around the issue of the tariffs, someone came up, it was on Wall Street actually, which is all the more damning. Somebody came up with the acronym TACO. Trump always chickens out. Now, the first time he heard it, he was not very pleased. He definitely wasn't very pleased, but he said he hadn't heard it yet. I chicken out. What does that mean? Chicken, tang. So, however, since then, this is what has turned out to be the truth that is coming out. This is a very short clip, so pay attention.
He could go into tachycardia. He could go into tachycardia.
Is what they were trying to say.
Do you realize that you were muted that whole time?
Was I?
I have to unmute myself when we show a video. But
okay,
yeah.
So what I was saying is that Trump staffers are saying that he's apoplectic about the TACO acronym, so much so that it could drive him into a heart attack, which is why tachycardia ended up being a new little neologism. And,
we've been saying Taco Bell will kill you for years. So let's go ahead and let that play out.
Here's another little treat that we got courtesy of the interwebs and some people who are willing to spend their money for a particularly good cause.
When I first saw that, I was like, this has to be AI. But no, somebody did that. Somebody's like, you know what? I got money to burn, and I'm going to burn it in the sky over Mar-a-Lago.
Listen.
And it's one of the words, it's not like you can erase it from public discourse because there are restaurants that serve tacos. Matter of fact, it's Taco Tuesday all the time, right? It's just going to get even better.
And I don't know if you saw it. Actually, they said maybe we should call it Taco-Lago instead of Mar-a-Lago.
Mara-Taco would be cool too.
Mara-Taco works as well. So those are the two indications that Trump's grip on the world is slipping a bit, but perhaps no more greater demonstration. Actually, you know what? We'll do this last little piece because this is related, and it's not divorce related, but it is tariff related. And TACO was first coined as an acronym centered around tariffs because countries realize that they need not hear or listen to him because he's always going to back off. And on top of that, as we alluded to last time, the international trade governing body, the judicial body that takes a look at all international trade from our side, ruled that his blanket tariffs were illegal, and they put an injunction on it. He immediately appealed, and so they put a hold on the injunction. But in order for that injunction to be held in place, the appeals court had to have a guarantee that there wouldn't be harm to the parties who were paying the tariffs. So he had to promise to pay back all of the tariff money before they put the pause on the injunction. Now, he didn't say that. He sent Stephen Miller out to say, oh, it's illegal and it's been overturned, blah, blah, blah. It has not been overturned. It has not been overturned. It has been paused. And if it is determined, because right now they're supposed to be going into arguments and briefs by early next week, and then we'll make a determination. But he doesn't have a leg to stand on, and his power is easing every single day. So to that point, he was so sure that these other countries are going to nut up because they were going to have such a difficult time without American goods. And so here is a little vlogger from China with very good English telling us what she's experiencing in her grocery store. So let's take a look.
Hello from China. So I'm in a grocery store right now, and I wanted to show you how the American tariffs are affecting Chinese customers. So I was gonna get some beef for dinner tonight, and I saw this. So what used to be here is American beef, but now, as you can see, it says Australian beef. And I did look around. I couldn't find one single pack of beef from America. So I guess China just stopped buying beef from America and it went straight to Australia. So the whole idea that China is hurting because of the American tariffs, well, they're not, because they're not as dependent on the US. In fact, only 18% of Chinese imports come from America. And for stuff like beef and soy, they can just go somewhere else easily. So I guess I'm having Australian beef for dinner tonight instead of American beef. And honestly, because of the food quality, I probably trust Australian beef better. And this box of beef right here is 50 RMB, which is about $7 US. So to answer the question, China ain't hurting. And if anything, I think we're probably doing even better, because now that we are better beef that tastes better and at a better price. So thank you, Trump, for that.
I saw that and I was like, $7. She got that whole set of steaks for $7, man. We're getting ripped off up here in this country. But she said something else that was I thought was very telling and very important for Americans to start to understand. We have been smelling our own farts for 60 years plus. We have been believing the lies around being a world dominating power. Yes, we were. Yes, we are still, even at this point, a country that people have to at least consider. The consideration is now, nah, we ain't doing that. And when she talked about the quality of the beef, we got to remember, we do a whole lot of nonsense to our food here. We are the only country that actively poisons its own citizens through the food system. Why? Because they're trying to kill us. And we out here eating collard greens. And they over here eating the stuff that they poison, thinking we were going to eat it. No, actually, we're good. More and more Black people are going vegetarian as well. But anyway, I'm off topic. When she talked about the quality of the beef, one of the things that Americans don't understand about agricultural trade across countries is a lot of countries take our food because they needed our protection. And a lot of them would negotiate some stuff they still won't take. Like you Fruit Loops in another country is a whole different color because they won't take those dyes. So the companies here make it specifically for, without the dyes. So they make better food for our allies that buy our food, that buy stuff from us, than they make for us. They put the junk on the shelves at Walmart. So that's something else to think about. But the world can get along without us. There is nothing native to the United States that cannot be grown somewhere else with potentially less shipping costs. And they probably already have the infrastructure to do it because everybody's been watching the U.S. be on some bullshit since 2016. That's almost 10 years, right? You can do a lot in 10 years. As evidenced by the president of Mexico saying, y'all can push this through like the lower part of Mexico and just truck it to the other side. You ain't got to even deal with the Panama Canal. So a lot of things are changing up, and we are discovering ain't nobody to come to see you, Otis. And we are Otis. We are now Otis. And the idea that like Australia was already trying to pick up some Chinese imports that we have been taking. China's reciprocating by buying their beef. They cut us right out of the deal. And nobody needs us, especially because we have now proven that we cannot offer the military protection that people have been looking for when they come, trying to be allies with the United States, because our president and his whole cabinet run their mouth on signal, if nothing else. And we haven't talked about Zelensky and the stuff that he's been doing to maintain the liberation of Ukraine as a sovereign nation. But he also showed, I don't need the United States. They made a big show of bringing him here, talking about how he didn't wear a suit in front of the president, like you got to dress up for that clown. You don't have any cars. We hold on. And think about this: the operation that they did when they took out a third of the the military air forces, and they did it without a lot of bloodshed. They bombed sites. They didn't bomb people. We'll come back to that later. But the way that they pulled that off, 18 months into planning, ain't nobody knew. I heard that Biden knew and ain't say nothing. But why would he? It is not his problem anymore. It's not his job. But they couldn't tell anybody in the Trump organization. So when all of this happened, Putin is looking at Trump like, why you ain't say nothing? And Trump is like, I want a steak? Like, what do you do? And so here we are with a small country showing the world that America is not in any way what we have been lying to people about being for 50 years. We are not your big protector. We cannot be trusted with sensitive information. You don't need us for world trade. And we just over here sitting here, circle jerking, thinking that we're great. And once again, we're not. Yes, exactly. Trump showed countries how to build relationships outside of the U.S., which that in itself is the single most damaging thing that he has done in government, is to show everybody that America is not, in fact, deserving of the superpower title anymore. Mind you, Great Britain is the same way. They fell off in a major way. I remember when they did their interview with the prime minister or one of the ambassadors to China, and the guy from the UK was like, so what do y'all think of the UK? Are we like a threat or something? Like, how do y'all? And he's like, we don't think about y'all at all. Y'all are just another country we do trade with. I mean, that's about it. That's what America is now. We are and also was.
Well, and there's an interesting perspective that was floating around where I think it was J.D. Vance who was proffering that instead of the United States being this hegemony where we kind of like set the stage for everybody but the Russians and China, now it was going to be kind of like a trilateral thing. So it was going to be US and China and Russia as the world's major superpowers. But now in that equation, we are the least powerful of the three. So where does that leave us? And according to this tweet, it leaves us here. Trump is Taco. Caroline Levitt. Caroline is Taco Bell. Air Force One is Panda Express. My cousin carries orange chicken. And the MAGA are the taquitos. So this is what our country has been reduced to. We were, when Reagan was in office, the shining city on a hill. When Bush was in office, 1,000 points of light. All of that. When
we had a balanced budget when
Clinton was in
office, and then Obama showed that we could potentially be a progressive country, and they were like, no, we want to go back to being bullshit. Okay, here you are. This is what your white American mediocrity has gotten you. How's it feel?
Well, and let's not forget, because we kind of skipped over George Bush, but because we were attacked, the whole world rallied around us.
They would not do that today.
It was a very NATO-ish kind of way to approach things. It was like, oh man, who did that horrible thing to the United States? They're our friends. And people didn't really even like George Bush, but everybody rallied around us. And even though we didn't have a really strong coalition of the willing to go into his WMDs because it was all bullshit, at least people were like, that was messed up that it happened to the United States.
Right. Now, even Americans are like, yes, we about to do, whatever happens to us, we just, like you said, we're just going to sit here and watch it burn because we deserve it. When I see tweets or threads or whatever social media I'm on, and there's Canadians and some couple Ukrainians and some people from the Middle East and other folks just making all these comments about America ain't shit. I see Americans like, you're right. We're not shit.
So we are 30 minutes in. It is time to play these are the days of our lives. This is a legit soap opera. So here's the setup. Elon Musk has been a special government employee. There was a time limit on how long he could hold that title before, he got drug tested, or had to face Senate confirmation and all these other sorts of things. He was a special government person. Eventually, his time had to be done. Now, when he started the Department of Governmental Efficiency, I believe that the plan was he was going to cut this $2 trillion and everybody was going to be so yeeked that they wouldn't even matter. He would just be able to say, hey, let's approve him. And the Senate would be like, yep, let's approve him. And then he'd be able to continue. But all of these things started to happen. The stock took a dive, and his brand recognition, his brand appreciation, his favorability rating started tanking. He wasn't actually uncovering all this stuff. He went from $2 trillion to less than 150 billion, and that isn't even quantified. So we're clear, that isn't even quantified, whether or not he got the 150 billion. So it turned out to not be such a thing. And even some of Musk's own people were like, well, yeah, I was put in here to find all this waste, fraud, and abuse. And what I discovered was that actually, there's some stuff going on, but
the government kind of runs how it should.
It's doing a pretty good job. These people love their jobs. They're trying to do a good job. And of course, they immediately fired that dude. So this leads us to this point. Go ahead, Joy.
So you know what? I'm gonna let you lead. I'm gonna lead you to your point. Then I'm gonna come back to what I want to say. I don't want to stop.
Okay. Well, just so you know, I'm heading up to the slides. So if you want to get in something before we get to the slides.
Yes. Okay. So thank you for letting me know that. So what we're seeing actually is this is what happens when the relationship is built on lies. Trump was lying to Musk, and Musk was lying to Trump, and they were both lying to the American public about different things. Musk never had a plan to go in there and shave $2 trillion or $2 billion or whatever it was he said he was going to do. That was never the plan. We have seen multiple times that what he went after were the companies, the organizations that were coming after him. Yep. Any group in the government that had a beef with him or a lawsuit or an investigation, / because that's the government waste. You're wasting your time investigating me. And he tried to get rid of every attorney general, anybody that might have been investigating any one of his companies or subsidiaries, right? And then, what's the other name? Trump is out here saying that Musk is going to do all these things, but he didn't really care about any of that. He just wanted to be, he's always said that all he wanted to do was go to the parades and wave his hands. That's all he wanted to do. So he didn't have any backup or any other plans around what Musk was doing other than to betray him. Because we do know that Trump don't never pay nobody. He don't never honor his side of any deal, which honestly does make him an example of the American government, especially when it comes to Native Americans. We don't honor deals at all. Yes, just like Envo said, lies, using lies inside of lies. It's exactly what happened. And so when Musk realized that Trump was like not satisfied and not taking, and also not letting him take the fall, and then when Trump realized that Musk was never going to do that nonsense, he said, now they're both looking at each other like, how dare you? And then because they're both petty, because they're both mean, because they both have small fungi-related penile attachments, they are out here having at it in broad daylight in a way that we have never seen. I like to talk about the fact that most of what happens in the United States is unprecedented. And yes, if you think, matter of fact, if you watch Hamilton, you know that Hamilton was writing letters and putting stuff in the paper and putting people's business in the street. Not like this, though. At least Hamilton had receipts and facts. This is just mudslinging. And this brings us back to Tom.
So basically, Elon smiled. Right before he finally was forced to leave, what came out was the allegations, the New York Times story about the drug abuse. So his last appearance in the Oval Office, he had a little mark on his eye. And he said
had a black eye.
Well, okay. He said that X hit him in the face, which I don't have a problem believing. but I think it's just as likely that he was in a K-hole and stumbled into the edge of a wall. But that was the last time we saw him in the Oval Office. MAGA Mike Johnson put the Despicable Deficit Raising Bill. He got it passed by a single vote. We talked about that last week.
Mhm.
It's gone over to the Senate. Rand Paul immediately said, nah, son, I can't do it. You're talking about raising the debt ceiling, $5 trillion, and you're doing all these tax cuts, which means not only are you raising the debt, if you're raising it by $5 trillion, that means you're going to spend it. That's why you're
And
raising it.
I want to take a moment to talk to people about how much 5 trillion actually is. Because we say we throw these numbers around, a million, a billion, trillion. If $1 million was my eyebrows, $1 trillion is the hair on my head. Do you see the difference? So when they talk about raising it by $5 trillion, that's more money than most global economies. And who got it? We ain't got it. We ain't got that money.
I'm gonna tell you that Joy put a metaphor in there. It's more like 1 billion is one hair of your eyebrows, and 1 trillion is a woolly mammoth.
Yes.
So
Yes.
let's get it untwisted. If one eyebrow hair is 1 million, a woolly mammoth or a herd of woolly mammoths is 1 trillion. You can't process how much that is. It's a lot.
It's a million.
A lot. So this is what happens. He puts the bill out there. It's running up between Senator Johnson from Wisconsin and Rand Paul. They're calling out a couple of other people who they think might vote against it. I'm counting on Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, who is now facing a primary battle. You also had Joni Ernst from Iowa, Ruby Red Iowa, who is facing a preliminary fight for her Senate race. And they've been losing these special elections. So there's not a whole lot of great stuff going on. And then this is what happened. Shots fired. I'm sorry that I just can't say it anymore. This massive, outrageous pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it. 3.3 million views. Now, Trump that was Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Trump ain't say nothing on Tuesday. Trump ain't say nothing on Wednesday.
They were back there like, because he had a heart attack.
Then it started. So Joy, I'm gonna give you this one because I started with Elon. So
Okay.
You get path 1. Here we go.
Elon and I had a great relationship. Trump told reporters, I don't know if we will anymore. Making popcorn. It's like a tennis match today, which is Thursday. Trump taking to reporters in the Oval Office. Musk is answering in real time on X. Some highlights and low balls.
Here we go.
He said the most beautiful thing. He said the most beautiful things about me, and he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next.
Without me, Trump would have lost the election. Dems would control the House, and the Republicans would be 51-49 in the Senate. Such ingratitude.
I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot. You know, he doesn't support my big beautiful bill, and I know why. Elon's upset because we took the EV mandate. We took the EV mandate, which was a lot of money for electric vehicles, and they're having a hard time with electric vehicles. And, you know, they want us to pay billions and billions of dollars in subsidy. But Elon knew this from the beginning.
This bill was never shown to me even once, and was passed in the dead of night so fast that almost no one in Congress could even read it. Whatever. Keep the EV solar incentive cuts in the bill, even though no oil and gas subsidies are touched. Very unfair, which almost sounds like a Trump thing, quite frankly.
Yes.
Very unfair. But ditch the mountain of disgusting pork in the bill.
Now let's think about this for a second. He says the bill was never shown to me. Who is you? Why would we show a congressional bill to you? You're not even an elected official. You don't even have a job right now.
You could understand why he would think that he would be shown it, since he was basically running the cabinet meetings and was sitting in the Oval Office almost every damn day.
But that's the thing, is he really did think that he was going to be president without ever having been elected. And that just shows you how much he believed that when he's like, they didn't even show it to me. Boy, why? Why would get out of here?
Let's continue. Trump told reporters today that everything's fine and praised the work Musk did, but said he will still be back and forth, I think. Go ahead, Joy.
But I'll be honest, I think he misses the place. He's not the first. People leave my administration and they love us. And then at some point they miss it so badly. And some of them, they embrace it. And some of them actually become hostile. I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it. I said, when I saw his black eye, I said, do you want a little makeup? We'll get you a little makeup. But he said, no, I don't think so, which is interesting, and very nice. He wants to be who he is.
But is Trump really who he is? On X, Elon Musk has been digging up old posts of Trump criticizing past federal budgets. I couldn't agree more, Musk wrote as a caption for one 2012 post from Trump that reads, "Deficits not allowed." Musk later doubled down on this post. Where is the man who wrote these words? Was he replaced by body double?
First of all, that would be a body triple. And and what we're seeing is two people slap fight in the middle of a wedding. Like, what is happening here? This is not the time nor the place, and there really shouldn't have been a time or place for this. And the fact that y'all are doing this across X is, y'all, we talk about airing dirty laundry. X is a global platform. Everybody's watching the stupid orange president and his worst mistress ever have a fight on the internet. That's some world star shade room shit. Which is why I'm eating pork skins at this point, because that's how hood this has gotten at this point.
Listen, I don't know how many of you all are going to see Fantastic Four on July 25th, but they have a Galactus popcorn tub helmet, and I am going to be getting that. I wish I had the Galactus tub so I could be eating popcorn right now, because this is truly delicious. Let's continue. Wait, I want to make sure I haven't skipped anything. Yep, back and forth. Okay, here we are. So the first match is over and the second one has begun. Trump's Oval Office meeting is over and he's moved on to Truth Social, where he just wrote that Musk was wearing thin by the end of his tenure, leading the president's Department of Government Efficiency, and I asked him to leave.
I asked him to leave. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted, and he knew for months I was going to do it. And he just went crazy. And the easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. I was always surprised that Biden didn't do it.
Okay. Now you sat there and turned the White House driveway into a Tesla dealership with all the computers. It's all computers. You did that. And you're talking about how nobody wants to buy the cars. By the way, the EV market is not in decline.
No.
Tesla is in decline. The EV market in Europe has grown. China is killing the game in EV. And there are more competitors in the United States. Rivian, most of the major car manufacturers. Toyota had a Prius forever. So,
and the Priuses are getting better. Priuses are getting better. But here's the thing. It's been 136 days. And it'd be one thing if they were beefing over something that happened a couple of years ago. Bruh, you ain't make it to the summer before you had a total meltdown.
And it's just now getting hot in LA.
Yup. The real bitches. I love it.
Screw Potomac. It's all about DC. So, stop it.
We knew that. See, that's the other thing.
We coming. It's coming. It's coming.
This is why I told you that he is Trump's. Wait, here we go. So, question: the Doge hackers are loyal to Musk. Will Trump kick them out too? CNBC is reporting that Musk just posted on X. In light
of the president's statement about cancellation of my government contracts, at SpaceX will begin decommissioning its Dragon spacecraft immediately. So that's the spacecraft that used to carry astronauts and cargo to the International Space Station for NASA. One is currently docked there. Hopefully, Musk won't abandon the 4 astronauts there. Without Dragon, NASA would find itself in an immediate bind because it does not have any other readily available alternatives to carry astronauts, food, or supplies to the space station. And Elon Musk just agreed with another post saying that Trump should be impeached and J.D. Vance should replace him.
Now, another thing that is hidden in that last discourse is this is why you don't privatize government needs. Because why is NASA in a bind? Because Elon decides not to do something. How much power does one man? No one man should have that much power. And the fact that he can just threaten to pull something. Once again, if you haven't seen the movie, Don't Look Up, there's an archetype for Elon directly in there. Even down to the rockets blowing up in space, not working the way they're supposed to. All of it. But the idea that he can just say, all right, fine, he could have been, he's petty like that. He could abandon those astronauts up there. And then we would have to go appealing to one of our allies with space capabilities. Who is that? Who would go there? Who else has been to space? The Russians?
And the
China?
Chinese.
What's the
That's
tariff
about
on
it.
getting 4 Americans back from space?
And listen, this whole thing, we used to have a space shuttle. Our space shuttle was our reusable thing.
Yep.
And even after the Challenger disaster, Gen X here, I was in the classroom watching that stuff happen. But up until that, afterwards, there were plenty of other flights and the space shuttle was doing its thing and going up, and plenty of people went up in the space shuttle and all that. And yet, here we are, and you got him talking. Thank you, Sam, for coming in. What would I do without my Musky? I think that's what Ja Rule is saying. Or he's going to turn the next Fire Festival into a space launch to the ISS.
Right.
We're going to be partying on the International Space Station with some tents and bologna sandwiches.
Right.
That's kind of where we are. But we are not done. It is going to get so much more petty. Here we go. And wait, let me make sure I got this. Yep, should replace him. And Musk responded on X with laughing emojis. This just keeps getting better and better. Go ahead, make my day. And Musk has unfollowed Stephen Miller. Miller's wife works for Musk in communications and left the White House with Musk to be wherever he works. This is popcorn on its own. Where's your popcorn, Joy?
Oh, I've graduated to skins at this point.
Okay, show a skin and chomp one for me. Scrunch. Now, Stephen Miller looks like an uncircumcised dick that has had the foreskin retracted. That's what he looks like. And
he looks like a meth head Eddie Munster.
Oh, wow. Well, he certainly is excitable as someone who uses meth. But now your woman has left with a guy
who likes to impregnate women.
Who likes to impregnate women.
I mean, but she
isn't married to any of them.
Mm.
Now, I don't know that she is actually Musk's type, but word around the Twitter sphere is that they were already having an affair. Now, I don't know if he did that just because he could.
What did I tell you about abuse of power? Just because he could.
Right, just because he could. So here's second half.
Okay.
Go ahead. Whoa on whoa.
Okay. Well, now Musk is getting personal. Time to drop a really big bomb. Musk said that Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. And now we already knew this. We
Correct.
knew when Epstein, quote unquote, killed himself, who was in them files. We already knew that. Mhm. The New York Times is reporting that Musk would know about that too. Musk has his own connections to Jeffrey Epstein, who told the Times in 2018 that he was a financial advisor to Musk. And in 2014, Musk was photographed at a party with Ghislaine Maxwell in 2014. And House Democrats are already making a formal demand that Pam Bondi release the Epstein files now. Not now, right now.
And this is a problem of their own making.
Yes.
Precisely because they rode so hard on it. And you had Kash Patel, who was saying it would be the easiest thing in the world to just do it. But, you know, if I were in charge, I would just release it. Now he's in there and it's like, well, yeah.
Well, you know, let me think about it. You know, this is quid pro quos and provisos and some capital letters.
Not provisos. The tu quoque fallacy. So they haven't done it. You did the fake release. Pam, what was that? 2 months ago? I think it was 2 months ago when they did the fake, the binders, those thin ass binders, the ones you can get from the 99-cent store. They had like 6 pages of redacted phone records in it. Like the Spider-Man meme.
And Sam made a good point. You ain't doing shit when you got time to tweet like this. Yeah, none of them, because they're not running the country.
And so 2 months later, you still, because supposedly it was terabytes and terabytes, nobody was alleging that Trump was on video with minor children. Nobody was alleging that. No, I don't think anybody believes that. But so all of the terabytes of child porn or whatever, that was Epstein, maybe. Maybe Epstein had those tapes. Okay. Nobody needs to know all that. Nobody wants to see all that. What we want to know is we want travel logs. We want to know dates and times, when Trump was on the Lolita Express, how long he was there before he was shown as coming back. That's what we want to know. You don't have anything on Bill Clinton. You don't have anything on anybody who is one of your targets, because if you did, you would have leaked something.
Yes.
So what you have is you have some information. It's like the Diddy stuff. Some people know some stuff about Diddy. We're seeing a big Diddy file. There's always these big drops. Cassie was the linchpin, but now there's all this other testimony, blah, blah, blah. But the most damaging thing is that as much as you have on anybody else, you have as much or more on Trump. And that's why you can't release it. Because if you do release it, you don't know who's going to come out talking about, oh, well, wait a minute.
Right.
You just showed this little thing on July 12th of 2010, and Trump was standing next to me.
And you know who else might come out of the woodwork if things are released about Trump in relation to Epstein? Over 1,200 Miss America contestants.
Well, or Teen Miss America, even worse.
Yes.
Thanks to the Howard Stern interview.
Because that was very well known that he would walk into their dressing rooms all the time while they were getting ready. Why are you back here? You back here to see some underage TNA every year. And if you think that that was his one little frill, one little, just doing that one thing, nah. Yeah, there's something there. And there's a good possibility that similar to Cosby, is passed, it's paid off, it's under the bridge, there's an NDA, there's a gag order, et cetera, until something new comes out.
There it is. And that's what all of them are really afraid of, because these folks who believe in the deep state, these folks who believe in vampires and eating babies and all this other sort of stuff, it's all about pedophilia. And when it comes out, that young lady, the Virginia Giuffre, who actually worked at Mar-a-Lago and was trafficked by Ghislaine Maxwell while Trump was there, she you have to say this a certain way. She unalived herself. And that happened within the last month and a half. And so this is where we are. This is why it's so scary to so many people. So we're going to continue. New York Times says last year, Musk's companies, mostly SpaceX, were promised $3 billion across nearly 100 different contracts with 17 federal agencies. With Trump threatening to cancel them, stock in Musk's competitors is rising today as quickly as Musk's is tanking. And The Hill is reporting that Musk posted on X, "Is it time to create a new political party in America that actually represents the 80 in the middle?" So now you want to do that? Now you want to throw your money behind the middle, Ross Perot Jr.? Is that what we're doing? You want the Reform Party?
That was actually disrespectful to Ross Perot, because Ross Perot wasn't in retrospect, he was not a bad candidate.
Oh,
he
no.
was a businessman that probably could have done some things. He may not have been the best president ever, but he wouldn't have been bad because he has sense. He was just
dry, and he had that crazy admiral.
And that weird voice. Yeah. But remember when having a weird voice will get you disqualified from being president? Remember when
when Dean did that yell? Right. But when Elon Musk was wielding the chainsaw and made that exact same yell, nothing happened. They loved it. It was hilarious because he had a big fake chainsaw.
People misconstrue wealth for intelligence.
And that's what our first video was about. We're almost done. And this is the part that kind of got me. The New York Times is reporting that Steve Bannon is urging Trump to cancel all the contracts and revoke his security clearance and investigate his immigration status, which he strongly believes is illegal, and start an investigation into his drug use. Oh, and deport him. So good luck with that. Because as much as you think you have these resources at your command, you talk about sanctuary states. You don't think Texas, where Tesla moved its stuff after it abandoned California because California was too liberal, you don't think he can't get a private army in Texas to fight them ICE fools?
And that's where the second Civil War would pop off.
And that's what, and look,
Texas has been planning this forever. And they always in the middle of some shit. When it was slavery, they left Mexico, and the whole Remember the Alamo thing is about them leaving Mexico and trying to hold on to slavery. Then they fought on the side of the Confederates in the Civil War. They'll be the start of it again. It's always Texas.
And on that topic of pitting forces against each other, here was a text that I saw that I found quite intriguing. I read on this is a Reddit thread, Reddit, Massachusetts this morning, that a Boston resident noticed ICE activity in his neighborhood. He called 911 and reported several armed men without identification were in unmarked cars in the area. Boston PD sent a SWAT team and ICE booked it. This is how we need to respond every time. Say that they have tattoos too. Weaponize the police state against itself. Cross-posting here because this tactic needs to spread like wildfire. We have all of these things going on. There's a young man, I think his last name is Gomes. He was a high school junior, plays in the band. His dad was in the proper channels. He had immigrated properly and had protected status, had a green card, but he had a traffic ticket, a speeding ticket. And he didn't address the speeding ticket. So that put him in a warrant. Again, speeding tickets are not criminal act. It's a civic violation. It's not criminal. But the son happened to be in the car and they were looking for the dad. And when they pulled over the dad and the son was in the car, they grabbed the son because the son was brought over as an undocumented person. So, and that makes him a criminal. Well, again, the whole community is going nuts. And this is in Massachusetts as well, in Milford. They are going nuts. And there was a waitress in a small town in a Trumpy district who has kids and was taken away. And they they opened the restaurant, and all the proceeds from the restaurant that day went to her. They raised $8,000, but they raised another $12,000 of people who couldn't even get in to be served and just dropped off money to help her case. People are not liking this, especially the Venezuelans whose protected status has been revoked. I mean, the Haitians were never really down with it. The Cubans whose protected status has been revoked. That's
I
Florida.
tried to tell y'all wasn't white. We've been trying to tell y'all that for so long. Welcome.
And
welcome to the
y'all
minority.
Cubans, and you weren't voting anyway, but now your cousins who could vote. Florida could twist. You've got a person who was a Republican running for governor as a Democrat now, and he's white. Sorry, Byron.
Sadina says down here that she heard earlier today that an undocumented woman was seized right after giving birth. The mother is being deported. It's cruel.
This is where we are, and the cruelty is the point, Joy. I mean, to your point. Here's our last update that we have in this epic battle.
Wait, Sam. So now Elon didn't realize he was the government waste he was trying to find. You better find your ass. Find your ass.
And listen, you think I have a problem with the government canceling his contracts? I don't.
Not at all.
I think that would be great. You're just gonna have to hire back some NASA folks and hire back some OSHA folks and hire back some other folks because your little your Skynet BS and your Neuralink stuff and your SpaceX stuff gone. And guess what? As quickly as those investigations were shut down, you think Captain Vindictive won't open up all them investigations again? The investigators wanted to get you. And it won't cost more than $90,000 a year to hire all them people back. $90,000 a piece. And we can hire them right back and we can get them right on your ass. And what are you going to do when your cars aren't selling and the thing that was propping up your stock price was the fact that you had these government contracts that are about to be canceled? Here is the last chapter of this battle so far for today. The last chapter we have documentation on. And shout out to the excellent new media journalist who concatenated all of this stuff into a really long Facebook post because, my God, you are making the show today.
So Trump is scheduled to host a roundtable with the Fraternal Order of Police today at 4 p.m. We'll see how that goes or if it goes. Update. Trump showed up 10 minutes late and is trying to look upbeat with Pam Bondi smiling beside him. He's reading from prepared notes, but when he goes off script to add personal comments, he's sounding a bit bitter. He's using the opening to plug his big, beautiful bill, which he says is doing nicely, but which is apparently looking dead in the Senate. Bondi is speaking now. Trump has closed his notebook and is definitely not engaged. It's strange. After the opening remarks, including the Fraternal Order of Police gushing praise of Trump, the live feed was cut. The camera showed crazy angles. Is Trump leaving? Apparently so. The feud continues with Trump on Truth Social and Musk on X.
Y'all, it couldn't have happened to a nicer Nazi.
That part.
I mean,
trapped in the White House. That was good.
And he's trapped in the White House. And I'm looking in the closet. He's trapped in the White House. And he's still in the closet. I mean,
yes, and then they hire back all these qualified folks, go after Musk with a vengeance, and then ultimately deport him to South Africa. I would gladly keep all the other scamming ass South Africa, the other 49 or whatever that came here, if we can just get rid of Musk. Send him somewhere. Send him to the penal. Send him to Australia. I don't know.
Here's the thing. You can't do what you did without money. And that's the problem. It was the threat of being primaried by Musk's money that got these people voting. Now Musk is giving them cover. Elon Musk, the billionaire, the guy we've been saying is the smartest guy, the guy who cut all the waste, fraud, and abuse, he's saying that this bill is bad. I can't vote for it.
You know, I had to take another look at it once Musk said so many things, especially since he had the trust of the president. It required us to take another look, and upon actually reading it, I realized that this is a bunch of shit, and we're not voting for this. Yeah, it's dead in the water. And he's giving, like you say, he's giving everybody a chance to not vote for this, and also not upset their rabid base that might be heavy MAGA fans. You know.
Well, and Marjorie Taylor Greene She didn't admit that she didn't read all of the bad stuff, because she probably was perfectly fine with the judicial bullshit we talked about last week.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that is hanging her up is that states can't sue AI companies for 10 years. That's in the bill. For some reason, it's in a budget bill. Don't know why. But
because Musk has an AI thing.
So, and she is freaking out. She's like, that's against state rights. And if I had seen that, I definitely would have voted for the bill. And they need to strip it out in the Senate. And if it's still in the bill when it comes back from the Senate, I won't vote for it. He can't lose any votes in the House.
Right.
He can't lose any votes in the House. And a lot of these people voted with the premise that it was going to go into the Senate and get passed, and they'd be off the hook because the Senate voted for it. If the Senate doesn't vote for this clean bill, and it's got to come back after 2 weeks of people hearing about the Medicaid cuts, who in Kentucky, when their actual medical exchange is popular, people in Kentucky like that exchange. And you got Bashir, who's the Democratic governor of Kentucky. People like that exchange. You cut Medicaid and Medicare, you lose a lot of this infrastructure. These 14 million or 7, depending on who you believe, who CBO is scoring, those 7 million people are not all Democrats.
Mm-mm.
A lot of those 7 million or 14 million people are desperate Republicans, and they did not
more than
bank.
half.
Yeah,
I would say more than half. Mm-hmm.
They did not bank on losing their health care coverage, and they didn't bank on some of their wives or husbands being deported for the simple crime of not filing a piece of paper. And they didn't like the idea of their workers who have been working for them and been like a part of the family. Some of them have housekeepers, some of them have lawn people.
Mm-hmm.
These people were not the folks they thought were going to fall under the watchful eye of the federal government.
But that's the propaganda that Elon helped spread on X, is that all these immigrants, all of these criminals, all of these rapists and murderers, which he's been talking actually since 2015, to be honest, but well, Trump has, but that was never a real tangible thing. It was always just dog whistle politics to try and get people upset. And it worked. It worked exactly how it was supposed to. And people believed that, and they didn't realize that the people they ended up deporting were the people that were doing all of the hard labor in the United States. Right, because nobody's raising their kid to clean houses
or to pick
oranges, which is what a lot of kids used to do in the summers in the 60s and 70s.
Yep.
That was child labor. And I will say, like I've been talking about this for a long time, Florida is going to be leading the charge on re-invoking child labor. They already brought the age of work down to 14 and allow 14-year-olds to work like a 36 or 40-hour work week. They're trying to put your kids in the field. Understand that. White people that are watching this show or catching it by accident, if we make it through your filter, I need y'all to understand that the current Project 2025 regime is trying to put your children in the field. Yep. Don't think that it's about just putting in re-enslaving Black folks, because I promise you that ain't gonna work out. They're putting your children in the field. It has always been about getting the biggest population to sacrifice their own children to the mouths of corporate greed. And that ain't the 12% Black people that live here.
Nope.
Right? It's your kids. Good luck with that.
Chan makes a good point that cutting immigrant labor also reduces Social Security, because those immigrants are still paying Social Security taxes.
Mm-hmm.
If they are working here, they are paying those taxes.
It's a ridiculous amount of money. I want to say it was in the billions of if they all left, how much it would hurt our economy, because they pay into it and they don't get it back out.
They don't get it. I mean, you talk about Ponzi scheme, and here's the thing. They're happy to do it. They're happy to do it. They are happy to do that honest, backbreaking, body-damaging work.
Now, here's what's going to happen.
To do it.
Because they came to America because you could drive here, basically, from most of the South American states or South American countries. However, it ain't nothing but a thing to take a boat over to Asia and reverse the worker trail, right? It'll be full circle, as a matter of fact. And once again, America will not be needed. It'll be a longer boat ride, maybe not, a few days as opposed to a couple weeks driving and stopping for snacks and whatnot. But yeah.
Well, and also
those migrant workers are going to find something else to do.
And let's not forget, China has no shortage of workers who work cheaply.
True.
I don't know if you're going to get too many Mexicans who want to sit on a ride across the Pacific Ocean to a country where they can't eat. I mean, if you think English is tough, try learning Spanish when you're 35.
Right.
I mean, try learning Chinese when you're 35.
Chinese
in a country where
there's a whole Instagram account. It's Japanese, but it's a whole Instagram account just dedicated to how crazy it is trying to learn Japanese, because the kanji they use would be the same picture for like 11 different words. It's great, but
it's very tough.
Yeah, but that also brings another point. Like other countries, every sovereign nation is capable of taking care of itself, with the exception of the United Kingdom and the United States, because their economies and their infrastructure is built on the backs of very cheap labor that is imported from other places. We're the only countries that really do that. I'm not saying that, slavery isn't happening in other parts of the world. I'm not saying that other people don't need manual labor and sometimes use brutal ways to get it. I'm saying we ain't got the numbers here to do it ourselves. And we don't want to. So good luck with that.
Y'all, we are going to have a very interesting week coming up next week. The Senate is looking at this bill. There are none of the hardline fiscal conservatives that have anything to lose by making demands at this point, because he is as weak as he has ever been, and he's not getting any stronger. He's losing the trade wars. And again, the higher prices haven't really completely hit because warehouses had stuff. But as the warehouse stores empty down, now it's going to be coming. And they say there hasn't been any inflation, but that's a lie.
And I'll tell you what, me and my friends are trying to get this one particular soap that we found because it smelled really good when we were in Ghana. And the soap itself, just to round the numbers out, the soap itself was going to be like $28. The shipping was going to be $84. And we were like, hang on, let us think about this for a second. And then that person came back and was like, they had already found a way around things to be like, okay, so now shipping is like $12. All they had to do was go look for something else, because there's always somebody willing to put it on the bottom of a speedboat and bring it. And so just like that, the tariffs are inconsequential. Just like that.
Just like no, see.
You knew exactly where I was going.
So
Timu's going to be all right. But now the American steel systems or steel companies are not, because most of our steel is not American sourced. But and I keep telling people, made in America does not mean completely made. It means it's final assembly in America.
Yeah, assembled in America is more apropos. And it's not only steel, it's aluminum. And because of aluminum, guess which iconic American brand has said they've got to leave the United States so that they can serve the rest of the world population with their delicious beverage.
Ooh, oh God. That hurts. You know how many people in Atlanta work for Coke? Oh God.
I do. So as of right now, Coke is like, yeah, we can't do it, bro. Like, our margins are too small. We can't take a 50% tariff on aluminum when we make 1 billion cans a year.
Yep.
We can't do it.
And the other option is to continue to pollute the planet with plastic.
Right. And we've decided we don't want to do that.
Yeah. So we'll be moving.
There you go.
That might be a way for a whole lot of Black people to get out of Atlanta, is to follow Coke to some other country.
Listen, as long as I can get my Coke Zero, I'm gonna have to stockpile because
You'll be seeing fried chicken places pop up in Turkey and Italy.
Woo, child, we dealing with. Oh, that's Samuel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, before we get out of the show, I did want to bring up another thing about these folks who are being deported now, and how they were absolutely sure it wasn't going to be them. So there's a guy. He met his wife when she was a student in Denmark, and they fell in love.
Mm-hmm.
And he came back to the United States, went through the green card application, thought everything was cool, didn't file this piece of paperwork, had 4 kids. These are blonde, blue-eyed, white people. Daddy is Danish. And he didn't file this paperwork. And so he's like, hey, she was a Trump voter, by the way. Super Trumpy, super hating on Kamala.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to his little thing, his next hearing, or is, hey, I'm doing it the right way. And he goes and they're like, yeah, so you didn't do this 8 years ago. So you're undocumented, clink, clink, and bye. And they have taken his ass. It's been a month. He's in some state that is far away from where his wife be at. And now they're not talking, just because you're white doesn't mean that you're going to get this protection, because they don't care. They really don't care. And for a single person, they definitely don't care.
It's the smallest violin I could find for his little story.
I actually have a tiny violin bow that I bought off of Temu. So the challenge is that when you set something up, occasionally they got to trap one of the light-skinned ones in order to make it fair for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's you, Captain Lego.
Sorry, son.
You can go back to Copenhagen and eat 7-Eleven chicken sticks
and smoke your problems away, I guess.
Yeah, because it ain't looking so good for you, Brett.
System's working the way it was supposed to.
Working the way it's supposed to. Working at a feature, not a bug, Brett.
Right.
A feature, not a bug. So we promised this earlier on in the show, and I did want to show it to you because after all of that anger, the sight of seeing young Chirins who are getting their life and participating in the homage to the most exciting film that any of us has seen. It came out, by the way, for those of you who saw it in movie theaters, but also were begging for more footage. I just know there's more footage. If you, it's on video on demand for a number of platforms. And one of the things that you get, there's 19 minutes of additional scenes or extended scenes. So if you
in the movie itself, or like as an extra, like
I
also
think it's an extra.
Okay.
I think it's an extra because, and I think it may be on certain platforms where you can definitely get it. I'm not sure if all of it is. So
I know Michael B. Jordan was on Instagram in that Coogee sweater with those little blue eye thing he's in, setting thirst traps the day it came out on digital. He's like, now you can watch your favorite scenes as much as you want. I was like,
as much as you want. So
let me go ahead and download this real quick.
Going ahead and watch Sinners, but while you're watching Sinners, imagine that you were one of the proud parents sitting in the auditorium watching your little baby do this. So we're going to take her comment off. Oh, yeah. Construction sites, restaurants. I don't know if we covered this, but Kid Rock, who has a restaurant, the Kick-Ass Steakhouse.
Kid Rock restaurant,
right.
Yeah.
They had to shut down because of the undocumented workers, and they were doing raids. And so he's like, I don't know anything about that. And it's like, bruh, it literally has your name on the restaurant.
Right.
But okay, whatever. So here are these little Beebans doing the the best and most amazing scene of the film that you can get away with doing in middle school, because
Yes.
I know they weren't going to be having a little fourth grader slobber into the mouth of another fourth
Oh
grader.
God, why you had to bring up the worst scene in the movie? Yeah.
Didn't play a banjo, it was a guitar. Remick was playing a banjo.
Somebody take me.
I love how they got a little bit of everything, just like the movie, you know. Get it, baby boy. Masquerade over here on the right.
You got the spirit of Debbie Allen is in the house.
Right? You know they got them clothes out their parents' closet.
Listen, little sister Kashiki on stage left was doing the thing. Oh, we got blood red lights too. Look at them.
Yo. Where's Remy? They had a little white boy come out.
They should have had a Remy.
Mm-hmm. That was beautiful.
That was amazing. I did find that footage that you talked about last week of the Remick dude standing in the middle of like 200 people doing the circle.
Did you find it? Oh man, it is so good.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. The last thing I would like to show, and Joy, I'm going to give you the opportunity to speak on anything you'd care to, because I want to show the Black people when we find something Black made to kind of close out the show. But what else do you have on your agenda for today? It's been a great show. We love you, by the way. Thank you for joining us every week. But go ahead, Joy.
I just want to remind people not to go to Target, because that is working. And it is being reported to be the most successful boycott since the Montgomery bus boycott. And all we got to do is spend less money in other places. It's working. And I want to remind people that this is still not our problem. Don't stay strong by staying on the couch. You ain't got to go out there. Things are working. It's just as we suspected. One of the reasons that the 92% decided to let y'all have this is because we knew this would go this way. This bickering in the streets is all across the internet. The rats eating each other. We knew that wasn't going to take long. I actually didn't think it would be this quick. They didn't make it. They didn't make it 6 months, right? I have dated dudes I hated for longer than 6 months. Right? Come on. So
they didn't make it 100 days. The protest started before the honeymoon ended.
Yes. Yes. And so we continue to sit back and let them do, so that we ain't had a hand in none of this. Y'all, this is all on y'all. Y'all circus, y'all monkeys, y'all do what you do. Do what you do. Do what you're doing right now. And for all of the people that have been allies to the Black community before, you sit down too. Like I stand with y'all as y'all go back out there. And if you're really an ally to the Black community, you understand why we're not out there, and continue to support us in our reticence, because honestly, us not, as we've spoken to before, us not being there has been what has not allowed them to just declare martial law. Because you can't call little white women militant or angry or hostile. Nobody believes that. They spent too many centuries building up the idea that they are fragile for you to now say a mob of angry soccer moms. Ain't nobody gonna believe you. So let them continue to do what they do. This is working. So let it work. Let it cook.
Weaponize their pedestals. Let them go on ahead and take all of that. Swing them pedestals, Becky. Swing them.
Use your white woman tears for good for once in your life.
Because I'm a Chateau de Lampe Blanche. Throw them white tear bottles at them. Just keep it happening. And so what I will say is that your gas is cheaper at Costco. And it doesn't, I live alone. I can shop at Costco.
I can too.
And it's going to be cheaper. Yes, you might not be able to get a 6-pack of toilet paper, but if you have a pantry, you just don't have to buy toilet paper for half a year.
Look, my toilet, I got half a year's worth of toilet paper and it's in my closet.
Right.
And whenever I run out, I go in there and get another one. I got
in the closet.
Yeah.
It's not a
why
big deal.
Why you bullshitting? Sooner or later I'm gonna do my housewarming party. I was looking through Costco like, yo, I could get everything I need here better than I could do it at Walmart or anywhere else. If you need a gross of grapes for a housewarming party, boom, you're done.
You got them.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, one bag, the bags of pot stickers that they have at Costco aren't any bigger than the bag of pot stickers they have at your local grocery store. They're just cheaper.
Yeah.
So if you like pot stickers, what was this? And the answer, yes. Well, we've already talked about that.
Everything is on fire, and as it should be. Lake Lanier is like, I got to get my body count up.
I know that's right.
But speaking about the food, so I was at Costco, and I go to the farmers market to get most of my meat and produce because they usually have, if not better quality, better prices or both. But their crab meat, like their jar of crab meat, is like $45.
Right.
I saw it was Phillips brand, so it wasn't the self-packaged brand at the farmers market, which is probably a little bit fresher. But that Phillips brand crab meat, I saw it at Costco for like $28. When I tell you I bought 2 and put them in the freezer,
listen,
I'm gonna be disking it out all summer. Crab meat, put it in my gumbo, everything. So yeah, sometimes you do get better. A lot of times you get better. I bought some clothes out of Costco because I needed some pajamas. And
I'm gonna bring it up again because we're in the month of Juneteenth. I'm gonna add it to the chat. Y'all, take a look at melaninfull.net. These are some great garments. I have one hoodie, one zip up. I have a t-shirt, and these are all over prints. I've worn one on the show. But now I've gotten another one. I got 2 shirts for my son. These are really, really great pieces of clothing. And they always have a sale. Sometimes it's a buy one, get one free. They do that on the hoodies. That's kind of like a permanent thing. So basically, if you do a buy one, get one free, the hoodies are like $45. And that's a great price for what you get. This is brilliant color. They've got all of these civil rights icons. They have one that's all women. Like I sent it to my mom to buy, where it's like, it's about women inventors. And so it's like, if not for women, we wouldn't have this. And it's like 20 pictures of these women and things that they've done, Black women, things that they have done. So support your Black-owned businesses. And the reason I'm leaning on supporting your Black-owned business, go ahead, Joy, because you might.
I was going to say, I happen to open up the site. They got a 50% off Juneteenth sale right now through Sunday.
Yeah, on the Juneteenth merch in particular. But as you go, they've got hundreds of choices.
Yeah.
So as you go through it, you'll find something that I think will appeal to you. It certainly appealed to me. They have a whole bunch of choices about the 68 Olympic teams, Tommy Smith and Carlos, and with their arms raised. They have a bunch of different designs that feature them. So go on ahead and support Black business. And to that point, we have a little video that I stumbled on. And the sister who is in this is absolutely precious. And she is at, I guess, a brunch or a wine tasting or something. So she does get a little progressively loopy as you go through the video. But it is absolutely adorable.
And it is so us.
It is very much. It is so on brand for the Sharpies and so on brand for Black people in general. Plus, she's a beautiful young lady. So here we go. This is a great way to end the show. Let's take a look.
What's in your glass? Is it?
Oh, I'm not sure. I haven't looked.
Oh, yours isn't black oak. Okay.
Lift every glass and sing.
Are you tasting the Black ownership?
The aftertaste of Black ownership.
It's an African American aftertaste. It tastes like freedom. There's a Madam C.J. Walker-ness about it. A Booker T. Washington-ness that just can't be described. I feel like this one could play spades. Can you play spades?
Yeah, actually.
Good for you. So this one's actually made by Brook Family Wines. And the way they make the wine, it's black owned. Yeah, and they make it very blackly. The black owned wine, right? And it's made with such curated grapes in a very black fashion, right? It's super African American the way they go about making their black owned wine.
I love her.
I love it.
Let me guess, because it's black owned.
Yeah.
What more needs to be said?
What I really like what I'm seeing now, and I think this has been a while in the making. You know, a lot of people talk about us not being able to have community like we did in the 60s, the 30s, the 20s, et cetera, because we don't all live around each other. We're integrated in our neighborhoods, et cetera. Some of us have I got mine, you get yours, personality disorder. But what I've seen in the last maybe 10 to 15 years is a slow accumulation of sundries and going beyond the restaurants and the shea butter makers into full-on Black ownership of multiple businesses. Enough so we are approaching that level of what Tulsa had, that Black Wall Street. We got everything we need digitally across the internet. So now you can find, we got Black Q-tips, Black Band-Aids, Black laundry detergent. Matter of fact, if you Google "We Buy Black," it'll pull up the name of the shop which is blanking in my mind right now. But Black wine. There's even a brand of Black braiding hair, since that market was really hard to get into because of the lockdown that like a lot of Asian countries had on it. So we are building our community again. It may not feel like it. It's not like we all at the same farmers market in the middle of the city, but Google Black owned and whatever you're looking for, and you can probably find it. And you can skirt around. You don't need it on Amazon or whatever. You can go directly to these little Etsy shops, these little what are the other little shops called? Get it on eBay, whatever it might be. Go find your Black owned stuff. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And let's be clear. Greenwood, and we talked about this last week, that's the anniversary of the Tulsa massacre. Mm-hmm. Greenwood was a thriving community that was only serving ourselves.
Mm-hmm. You don't need to appeal to a broader audience.
You don't. You just need to get some folks who will lock in and do what needs to be done. That's what it is.
Right. Madam C.J. Walker was a millionaire. She didn't have the white gaze.
Sure didn't.
So go out there. Now's a great time to start your little business. Go on out there and do it.
Your little business. Get your eBay shop. Get your Etsy shop, and make sure you have the infrastructure to actually deliver on what you're selling.
And you know what? I'm going to put a plug in, even though he didn't ask me to. Dr. Bryant Marks.
Okay.
Morehouse class of 94. When Spelman did our 30th reunion, class of 95 had our 30th reunion. Of course, it was Morehouse class of 95 too. We did a day party at this place called Kemet Resorts, I believe, on the south side of town. First off, you go off in the cut, which, it ain't hard to do in Georgia, but you go off in the cut. It's inside the perimeter in Atlanta, and you turn into this little driveway, and all of a sudden you're at like an Italian palazzo. Where the hell they get this from? In the middle of nowhere in Georgia. Where they do that at? It's got the nice little pool with the cabanas and the meeting rooms, and you can do like a retreat. I'm trying to plan a retreat for Black women at this resort. But so we talk about Black owned, you ain't got to leave Atlanta to go on vacation. It's right here. And so your grandmama who don't like to fly, take her to this resort.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Kemet.
I dropped his IG in the chat comments.
Thank you.
So go and support, and enjoy yourselves.
Yes, we continue to mind our business.
Because similar to mind your business, protect your peace.
Because similar to China, we have also discovered that we don't need we convinced ourselves that we had to for a long time. And there have been times when it was safer to be integrated, whatever that looked like, to take on certain, physical affectations in order to survive. But at this point, we good. We can do us,
Yep. And you have more choices than you ever have in your life to stream content that is affirming. Watch forever. It's already been renewed for season 2. One of my frat brothers was one of the folks he was a lawyer who represented a bunch of the talent on that. And so support, watch those movies on Tubi, whatever. I mean, I'm not saying it's a good time, but watch it on Tubi. You know, just support, but definitely support art. You know, watch Lovecraft Country on Max.
Yes.
Before it turns into HBO Max.
Go watch what is it? What was it called? Bel Air on
watch Bel Air on Peacock.
And wherever it is. Yeah,
it's on Peacock.
Peacock. Yeah, that's it.
So, you know, do your things, be your things, enjoy your lives. And with that, I will say I'm Tom Cunningham.
I'm Joy Stevens.
And this is Steel Sharpens Steel. Good night, everybody.